I used to like playing games that were competitive multiplayer combat in the form of RTSs and stuff like that. Age of Empires, Empire Earth. And I kind of lost interest in them. And I've tried to play them, tried to enjoy them, but I kind of don't. Not the way I used to. And maybe part of that is that my all-time favorite game ever, probably, was Empire Earth. And Empire Earth has not had a populated online server for quite a number of years now. So its time in the sun has come to an end. And I really liked playing that game in a World War II setting. Tanks and artillery and those kinds of units. The games that are popular in the RTS space today are largely dominated by Age of Empires, and it just doesn't really quite hit the same chord. It is cool, but there's just something about it that makes it not feel sticky to me like some of the older classic games maybe did. But that's not really all there is to it. And I was thinking about this. There's a certain sort of games, maybe it's a single player RPG, maybe it's a real-time strategy game or a MOBA, games where you jump into a match, you play, and then once you're done, the match is over and it's all reset to nothing. You don't really take anything with you after you finish. You put this effort into building your base and working on trying to be victorious, but then in the end, you kind of don't have anything to show for it, other than maybe a rank if you were successful in working up a leaderboard. But truth is, nobody's going to care eventually. Down the road, no one's going to care at all, including you, about where you ranked on a leaderboard. And maybe that is the point I'm trying to get at here. There was a time in my life when I thought that the concept of climbing a leaderboard was more appealing. And now I don't care so much about that. I don't care about that so much in life. I stopped trying to climb the leaderboard because I started to realize that no matter how much you do, there's always going to be somebody that's better than you. And even if by some miracle you do climb all the way to the top, when everything's said and done, nobody's going to care. Nobody ever is going to care if you were number one at the top of the leaderboard for Call of Duty or Age of Empires or something. Okay, so you won a tournament. Big deal. Nobody cares. So you put all this time into grinding up so your name can be higher on a list. You can't say, look at this cool thing I've built, look at this cool thing I've done. You can't pass it on to anybody else. You're just trying to get your name higher up on a list. That's it. And that's really a kind of an empty thing to pursue. Now, going back to gaming, I like to play city builders. I like to play MMOs to a point because they give you a sense of something that you can take with you in a form of progression. Like right now, I'm playing Elder Scrolls Online, and I'm just running around killing mobs while I talk, and I'm going to get resources. I'm going to get things I could craft with or sell or something, and then I'm going to generate in-game gold, and that's something that I could use to maybe build something in housing or just share with other people. And so there's a sense that what I'm doing is meaningful in some way. When I turn off the game and I'm done for today, I've acquired something that I didn't have before that I'm going to be able to take with me into my next play session. And if I made a bunch of gold in the game, I might even be able to be helpful to a guild or share it with a new player or something like that in a way that would be encouraging to others. Like that's pretty cool. Or in the case of a city builder, I have saves that I keep on coming back to, and they inspire imagination. They're something that I can kind of keep playing through in my head, and then when I come back, I pick up where I left off, and I continue to role play in a certain sense those save files. Just keep on going, and those kinds of games where you can just start with nothing and then build up something cool, and then you can say, hey, look at this thing I've created. That's a lot more fun, in my opinion, than something where it's just a match, you're trying to win, and then when you're done, it's just over and done with. And then there's the issue of skill mastery in some of these ranked match kind of games, like Age of Empires, to go back to it. It's a super easy game to play, but it's not a super easy game to master, because to master it, you're going to wind up having to pay a lot of attention to microing your units and getting really granular about how you play the game. So it's going to stop being just role playing your little village of people trying to grow into an empire and build cool armies. What you're really doing is you're going to say, okay, I have to, build in a very specific order, and I've got to make every single second count, and it starts being the opposite of just open-ended role-playing fun, and it's really technical, and you have to play a lot if you're going to master these games and be able to succeed up against other people who do the same and are really good at it. And that brings the question, how much do you want to grind just so that you can compete with other people who are no-lifing a game? At what point does it stop even being a game? I saw a post on a Facebook group for Genshin Impact when the new zone came out. And this person says, I will grind through this zone for you in exchange for real money. Okay. And then they kind of laid out their rates, and it's just a real ridiculous post, but it got me to thinking. People will say they're into a game, and they're having so much fun playing the game that they'll pay real money to somebody else to play it so that they don't have to. Isn't that crazy? And it all goes back to the question of what is your motivation for what you're doing. And I think as we move through life, our motivation can change, perhaps in a more healthy direction. I think when I was a teenager, the thought of being number one so I could prove I was a badass was much more appealing than it is to me today. Now I look at life through the lens of, I want to do something that contributes to myself mentally or spiritually or to somebody else. So I'm looking for positive shared experiences that are centered around building things, creating things, and sharing things, which is kind of the antithesis to something like a competitive match where you're just trying to win so that you can rank up. It's something to think about, because we all have limited amounts of time to do different things. So the things we do should be things that we enjoy. That would make sense. And yet sometimes we fall into the trap of feeling like we gotta force ourselves to have fun because we're supposed to enjoy something, and the reality is it's not really actually fun to us anymore. stopped being fun a long time ago, but we're still trying to convince ourselves that it's worth it. And sometimes you just gotta walk away from a few of these things. But really, the main point that I want to make is just that the things that wind up being the most memorable are not the things that are super competitive as much as things that are creative. And if you're doing things that are creative, you're going to probably have a better experience than you will if you're playing the game in a way that is forcing you to try to measure your performance against somebody else's. That's even true in the MMO space. There's people that just log in and enjoy the game. And then there's other people who are min-maxing and trying to figure out, okay, how can I have the best build? How can I get through the content faster? How can I be at the top of the, skill tree or something? And it's just, at that point, it becomes toxic. And I've thought about that with people who have a lot of alts. And that's fine. You can have an alt for different classes or whatever it might be. But sometimes I think, how much fun is somebody really having when they play through all the story content, all of the, all the stuff there is to do in a game, and then they make another character just so that they can go do it again. And then they have like 15 characters that they've created over a period of time. Like, that just does not sound fun to me. I would rather just casually play with one character and kind of be immersed in that. And am I trying to be the best player? Like, no. I don't even know what that looks like, and I really don't care. But I think I have a pretty good time because I'm not really trying to achieve anything. I'm just enjoying the vibe of being in the world and exploring and maybe decorate a virtual house or something. And that's pretty much good enough. Whatever you do, have fun with it and seek to do things that add value to your life instead of things that put you on a treadmill that you feel like you can't get off of. Until next time, thank you for watching.